Hello again to our friends. It's the middle of June and it's time for us to share another waffle. I'm Claire and I am super excited to be chatting to our extremely special guest today. I'm absolutely not trusted to do this alone, so I have my fellow wafflers with me. I've got Ben and Becca and John. How are you all?
Hi, Claire.
Yeah, all good.
You're
All
right.
good here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this. Be nice.
Very
It's
excited.
sunny.
Very good. I know.
Yeah.
And warm. Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's light outside while we're recording. this is it.
And it's not the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's finally stopped raining.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
Today.
happen very often in the yesterday.
There's bank holiday coming up, so I'm sure it won't last. Right. So our guest today is someone that has been likened to the shopkeeper from the old school British kids TV show, Mr. Ben, because he is someone who has a habit of popping up unexpectedly as if by magic. Yeah. So over the last year, he's become a firm favourite in our mutual Disney communities for his dry wit, cheeky retorts and love of coffee. He's a speed demon behind the wheel, regardless of that being a golf cart or a Surrey bike. And he's been known to play a mean round of mini golf. Today, we are going to get to know the many layers of the man that is Zac Brown. Are you all right, Zac? It's great to have you.
Having my life summed up in this nice little intro. So wonderful.
I try hard. I try to make a nice intro because
I thought it was great. I'm so happy to be here.
Do you know what TV show we are talking about? Have you ever heard of Mr. Ben?
No, I know Mr. Bean, not Mr. Ben.
No. So Mr. Ben is a kids' TV show from the UK in, I think it was probably the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
I remember my brother watched it. Yeah. And it had this guy who used to walk down the street and go into a shop, and he used to get dressed into a costume and then go through the changing room into another land. And when it was time for the show to finish, it would be like this ping, and the shopkeeper would appear in the middle of nowhere from like least expecting. So to us, Zac Brown is like the shopkeeper and Mr. Ben.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to go check it out and see if I can maybe figure out one of these costume change things and however that works.
He wears a fez as well, so you might need to borrow a fez.
Wearing a fez, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look this up.
Yeah, we'll share it with you, and then any of our listeners who don't know who Mr. Ben is, they can also go find it. So Zac, you will know that all first timers on the Great British Mickey Waffle are invited, and I use that term very loosely, to answer our Carousel of Questions.
Cool.
This is a series of supposedly quick-fire questions to give us an insight into your Disney preferences. So, go with your heart and share your thoughts. And remember, when I say there's no judgment on your answers, I absolutely don't mean it. So, I'm going to start. And which is your favourite park?
Oh, that's so difficult.
So do the first question.
I know.
They get harder.
I'm going to just say Magic Kingdom. I know that sounds easy. I'm not going to qualify my answer. I'm just going to go with Magic Kingdom as my favorite park.
Very good choice. And question 2, a ride that you hate.
Ooh, ride that I hate. All right, this is, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's an unpopular opinion. I cannot do Tower of Terror. I've ridden it 3 times, so I can at least say that I've tried. It just, that up and down feeling, I'm not about it. I will do everything else many, many times, but Tower of Terror takes a lot of convincing to get me on that attraction.
I don't think you're the only one here, to be honest with you.
They've not been able to convince me to get on it yet, so you're 3 steps ahead of me.
Becca and I will be out on the bench while everybody else goes and does the thing.
That sounds like a plan. So, question 3, most overrated snack.
In Walt Disney World, I would say the churro. The ones in Disneyland are really good and fresh, but I think the ones in Disneyland or Disney World are just the sugary cardboard. That's just me.
Isn't that most of the snacks?
Yeah, that's true.
What's your favorite transportation mode at Walt Disney World?
Ooh. I love the Skyliner. I mean, I know the monorail's classic, but the Skyliner, I think the thing that sets it apart for me is that you get that breeze, and you're not low enough to the ground that it feels like a car, and you're not high enough that it's frightening. It almost feels like you're flying in a dream. You're just at the perfect height, and you get the breeze day or night. It's beautiful. It's a great thing to do with friends. Skyliner all the way.
Haven't ridden it yet. I don't do heights,
No.
so I'm a bit nervous about it. So.
I think I'm the only waffler that has been on it. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it when you come down.
I think as well, Zach. I'm just a little follow up on that. You mentioned about the breeze, because certainly I was one person at the very beginning, having seen the design and recognised that there wasn't the aircon put into any of it, and thinking primarily of July and August time
Exactly.
in Orlando, you
Mhm.
know. And I think it's actually proven itself already, hasn't it, to actually be able to adapt and to cope with the heat within Orlando.
I agree. When they announced that and they said, "Oh, there's not going to be air conditioning on those," I said, "They've got to be out of their minds. They're totally, off their rocker." But when I wrote it, I thought, "Oh no, this is really lovely." And in fact, if you're in the evening, it can get quite chilly because the wind is whipping through just inside that little container, and it's you're just in the middle being kind of blown around, but. I agree. I think it's proven itself to, even on the warmest of days, really be a really enjoyable experience.
It's good to know.
Question 5. Which is your favourite table service restaurant?
Oh, I would probably Cape May Cafe at the Beach Club. I really love just the seafood options. And I think something that it has over other restaurants is that the menu, at least pre-COVID, rotated. So different nights would be different featured items. So it was kind of give you a reason to go back, and it wasn't just, kind of the same old, same old. And I just love the Beach Club. So I just think that the setting is real fun, and it's casual, yet still feels nice. So I love Cape May.
That's nice that restaurants do that.
Yeah, It's good for breakfast too.
Yeah.
I haven't had their breakfast yet.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, it's one we've not yet tried.
No, I'm not a huge fan of seafood, so it's.
Oh, don't let that put you off. Don't let it put you off.
See, I don't know how many options there are for the non-seafood lover.
Oh,
All right, then my answer for Becca is Ohana. It'll be the other answer then.
Meat feast.
Yeah, I'm good with meat.
Question 6. A resort you haven't stayed at but want to more than anything else on earth.
Probably, well, I was going to say probably Wilderness Lodge. I really like the Wilderness Lodge a lot. It's just beautiful. We've discussed it before, just the kind of wooded smell that it has. It's a cozy resort. I just think it's beautiful. And then you've got Geyser Point, and you've got the access to the lake, and I like Wilderness Lodge a lot. I'd like to stay there.
Yeah, Geyser Point with the bison burger.
That's right.
But no waffle fries.
No,
Yeah.
they've changed it. Not happy about it.
I'm boycotting Geyser, by the way, because of the lack of
I don't think I'd
waffle
go
fries.
that wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd go to that level.
Oh, I might.
I might just be a little bit quietly disappointed.
You'll be the one writing an email.
All right, email. Yeah.
Dear
Mr.
Mr.
JPEG. Yeah. Okay, question 7. Favorite car park?
Well, for our American listeners, that's a parking lot. I think I had to. I saw a couple of the guys that had a little.
You've been told about this question, haven't you? You've been given the heads up.
Who talked?
Yeah, that's it.
See, I like to stand off in the wings and watch as somebody else goes before and go, "Okay, don't do that." Favorite car park? I guess. So let me ask this: is it in like how it looks, or the easiest, or is there a reason how I should be approaching this?
It's your choice.
Okay.
Anything
Right now, I'd say Hollywood Studios. I think it's probably the easiest to get in. It has the Skyliner right in the front again, and it already kind of sets the tone as you're walking up to the park. Magic Kingdom's kind of torn up right now, and I'm ready for them to get that all figured out. But I think probably Hollywood Studios.
They've actually done a really good job there, though, Zac, haven't they? It's just like, when you consider how poor it was, and it never really. Even if you went later in the day, you could end up right at the very front.
Yeah, that's true.
In the first couple of lines, or you could end up right at the very back of the whole parking lot
in Typhoon Lagoon.
And it was just and there was no rhyme or reason to it. This now, the way they've done it now, it doesn't matter what time of the day you arrive. You've actually got a really fair journey into the park, and even if you are parked as far away as is humanly possible, it's a bit like Epcot. It's not that demanding walk in, and again, it's another excuse not to have to get the tram. And even
with the lack of trams right now, I don't feel like it's this trek across the desert to get to the park. Yeah. I had great fortune the other day to pull in, and they had the entire rows going down, and I thought they're gonna send me down, and I'm gonna have to park all the way at the end, and I'm just going, oh, come on, and right as I pull up, the guy stops me and he points and started a new row with me, and I had the first card. I was like, thank God. I had won the day.
Do you know what? It makes or breaks your day, doesn't it? We're always like, you know what? We're going to have to go long here. We know we're going down that far edge. You can see the guy down the end with his high vis on, and you're just like, that's for me. I just know that's for me.
He pointed me to that first space, and I just gave him like the yes, and I kind of strutted to the park. I was like, that's right. It's all up. It's all gravy from here.
It's incredible how it makes you feel, though, because I've got to say, it's the simplest thing. I've got so many memories of Animal Kingdom and being that guy who's been pushed right to the parking space. It's closer to the 192 than it is to the entrance to Animal Kingdom. Yeah, and I tell you what, it takes a long time for me to stop having a strop about it because it's cost me at least 10 minutes.
So by the time you get to the park entrance, you're all right.
Yeah, takes you. Yeah,
sometimes it takes me until at least I've had a coffee, Becca. It's just like sometimes it's just like you're still snarling at the parking attendant as you're getting towards the tram. Yeah. That guy. And you decide, I'm not getting on the tram. I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk now because I'm in the mood.
I need a minute. I just need a minute to myself. I'll catch up with you later.
The anger's still there until you've been on Flight of Passage.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. But yeah, it's amazing what it does to you. I've got to say that's one of the best answers I think we've had, Zac, and I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. It makes or breaks your day, depending on where you are in that line.
True.
I'm totally with you on that. Totally with you.
I think that anger's the same as if you're staying on site and like you just get to the bus stop and the bus you want is just pulling away.
Yes,
that's the same
thing.
If it's pulling away and it's empty, that's it.
Yes.
And they've seen you coming as well.
Yeah, they see
I know you see me. I know you see me.
Yeah, right.
They just put the indicator on and off they go.
Especially if you're running as well so they know you're trying to get on that bus.
If I was a bus driver, I'd probably do the same.
What, pull away?
Yeah, totally.
At least he's honest.
Yeah.
I'm obviously too nice because I'd just stick around.
Oh dear. Right, next question. That was a really good one. Here we go. This is an easy one. Typhoon, Blizzard Beach, or Volcano Bay?
All right. So I have not been to any of the water parks.
Okay.
But I will say, if I had to choose one, I'd probably choose Typhoon Lagoon. That looks like a lot of fun. Even with them taking away the shark experience and all that, I think Typhoon Lagoon looks fun with the oh goodness, what's the little coaster that they've got?
I want to say Mayday Falls.
Slush and Gusher?
I don't know if that's right.
Slush and Gusher. Crush and Gusher. Whatever. That one. That looks like a lot of fun. So my choice to which one I'll go to first would definitely be Typhoon.
So there's a recurring theme here, though, Zac, isn't there? So we've got Tower of Terror, and then you still haven't done Summit Plummet. So the next time all of us are in Florida, guess what? I'm going to take you to Blizzard Beach. I'm going to make you do Summit Plummet.
It's going to be drop-a-thon.
go up the road and go to
Yeah.
Doom's Fearful.
Yeah.
That's Doom's Fearful.
No. Next question. Speaking of up the road, Galaxy's Edge or Diagon Alley?
Oh, Galaxy's Edge. I am a Star Wars kid through and through. My dad was a big Star Wars kid. He was, I think, 10 or 11 when Star Wars came out. So it's just either through osmosis or just brainwashing. I am a Star Wars guy.
Okay, question 10. Early morning or late night park visit?
Ooh. It depends on the park. But I would probably say late night. There's just something magical about the lights have gone down. Some places the music shifts a little bit, the way that the lights play through the trees, or, like Adventureland at night is so amazing. Tomorrowland at night is fantastic. World Showcase. Every little country is so enchanting and just invites you to come into their courtyard. So definitely late night. Yeah.
Okay. Keep the magic or backstage detail?
Ooh. I love these questions. I think there's some that I really want to remain a secret. But for the longest time, I wanted to be an Imagineer. So I would definitely want to go backstage and see how it's done. Like, let's, show me that the lady's not being cut in half and show me where the rabbit is hidden inside the top hat.
Have you done any of the backstage tours where you can see bit back?
No, the closest thing that I've done is the behind the seeds tour at the land, where we've walked through, and that's super affordable. It's been years since we've done it, but I want to do the one where you can go to, I believe, American Adventure or something along those lines. I think it's Backstage Magic, but yeah, that was cool. And the train one, I'd really love to see how they take care of the trains, the monorails. I think that'd be cool.
That would be really cool.
I'm a sucker for trains.
No, do you know something? I think we did a Wednesday show about VIP tours, and that
We
appears
didn't
to be.
mention that one.
No, we didn't, and it's also
failed
one
to
that,
mention the trains tour
because I'm not sure if you can do it at the moment, and it's actually
probably not.
It's not quite as good because of the railway not working at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
You actually want it to be when it's fully operational.
Right.
And so you can actually go at a time where it's fully working, and you can get the best out of it. I'm totally with you there, Zac. It's one of them train things, and I think it's something. I think you have to be up very early in the morning to do it. But
it's super early.
Yeah. So we'll do that. Put on the list for very early in the holiday.
Early.
Yeah. 3 a.m.
Add it to the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And the next question: what's your favorite other podcast or vlogger about Disney?
Oh goodness! See, now
that is a tricky one.
That's where you're going to get me in trouble, because I know people.
You can guess who wrote the questions.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick one that I don't know anybody who's on the show. How's that?
Oh, that's good.
Good dress.
There's a podcast called Retro Disney World, or Retro WDW, and there's 4 guys, and it's like a nonprofit type thing where every episode is like a thesis, college thesis for every attraction, and they don't do anything that's younger than 25 years. So they'll take early Epcot Center, early, Disney Vacation Kingdom of the World stuff. So it's super historical, and I enjoy that because they get really nerdy about like Hotel Plaza Boulevard or Fort Wilderness, things like that, where it's like, who wants to spend an hour and a half talking about the universe of energy? These guys will. And so I used to listen to them on road trips, and I really, I like that show a lot.
That sounds like one for us to check out. I've not heard
It
of that,
does.
and I'm going to go and find it when we're done.
It certainly sounds something that I think all
Sounds
of us
up my street.
right up our street.
They'll do an hour and a half on menus from the past, and you're just like, okay. But then you listen, you're like, oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I've got loads of cookbooks that I picked up from eBay and things like that, like secondhand ones from Disney World and stuff. So, I love the retro stuff, and I love the geeky side. So, I'll go with that one up, definitely.
Yeah. I must admit, again, shameless plug for some of our previous Wednesday night shows. We tried doing extinct attractions in each of the parks thinking, oh, we'll just maybe get an hour out of them. We've ended up with just like so much, and we left so much out there as well, talking about things that were no longer in the parks. And that sounds an absolutely amazing podcast. I'm going to go and check it out because I love things that is going back to how it was for sort of the opening of each of the different parks and how things have evolved. And yeah,
I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Brilliant. I appreciate that.
And if you were visiting and you didn't live nearby, would you stay on site or off site?
Probably on, just for the convenience of transportation and things like that. Do they still, and extra magic hours? I mean, I guess there's that whole deal. I mean, you guys come and you're here for like 2 weeks or something. I love the Brits. You guys really know how to take a vacation, a holiday. I mean, like, you actually get rest. It's this fascinating thing. So if I was doing it like you guys, I think I would get the vacation home and stay and just get that. Just, we're here and we're camping out and this is our home base. So if I was doing what y'all were doing, I'd probably stay off. But growing up in Florida, I like staying on property. Yeah,
I think we get it. Yeah. We get a lot longer, don't we? We get more holiday from work and stuff as well. Yeah. So I think
from taking a 2 week trip, it's just one of those things that some of our 2 week trips are full on all the time. It's just learning when to take those rest days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so important. So important.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to come back from a 2 week trip and think, I need another holiday just because I've been at Disney for 2 weeks.
Always think that.
Rolling to work that first day and go, oh, God.
No, yeah.
The problem is most of us roll home from a trip like that, and the first thing we're doing is looking for the next flight for the next trip.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about your experience.
Yeah. Well, the worst thing I think I've done is try to use my magic band to open a door at work when I've got back, and it's like, it doesn't work.
That's called jet lag. That's not
or you put your hands underneath the faucet and the water doesn't start running out. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, and the famous final question: Finding Nemo or Festival of the Lion King?
Oh. So I've only seen Finding Nemo one time. And now that I'm local and I'm just like, oh, I really want to go see this. I don't have it at the moment. So I really love Lion King. That was one of the first films that I ever remember seeing. So I just love the music from that. So that's my choice, almost kind of by default. But I know that Finding Nemo has a lot of original stuff. So I give them props for having their own thing. If that makes any sense. But final answer, Etch a Sketch, start at the beginning. Festival of the Lion King.
We really need to tally up how many votes each have got now so we can come up with a winner.
I think we do. Yeah. I think we all know that the Festival of the Lion King wins.
I now need to go with the subliminal sort of.
John comes prepared.
Do you know what, John? That would be amazing if this wasn't a podcast.
I know. That's the thing. It's the visuals for those watching on YouTube.
That's right. This is why you watch.
The audio description.
Yeah.
John moves the picture of Nemo across the street.
So, which of the After Hours buddies is Jose, Panchito, and Donald?
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you actually have an answer for this or whether it's just your opinion.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so Jose's from Brazil, so I don't know if that's like a given.
Is your
Jason, Colin is young, so he's a bit more cavalier, so I'll give him Panchito. And he's from Kentucky, and they're big on like carrying over there. So he has his pistols. And Carlos being the suave one from Brazil, and then Jason has to be Donald. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
I think it worked. Thank you for answering our Carousel of Questions.
My pleasure.
It's the way we start with everyone for their first time with us, so it was good fun. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Some really good answers. So, as as I mentioned in your big intro, many of the great big British Mickey Waffle community will know you from your guest appearances on Here Are the Magic, After Hours, and even recently WDW Radio. And we'll come back to that later.
Okay.
But you
I'll be
actually
here.
have your own podcast, the Zac Brown Show. So from what I understand, that's been going for almost 18 months. Is that right?
You know better than I do.
Okay, yeah.
What month are we in?
We're in June. We're near June.
This will be June. Yeah, holy cow, that's crazy.
So, so we're always keen to hear how people get into this type of broadcasting. So how did and why did that come about?
So I, at the time, I just started working in a job where I was mobile. Like I was working from my car doing pest control. I was, a lot of people's homes are outside, and I was just consuming podcasts like water. And I was listening to different people have conversations, and I thought, I love this. This is fun. It's just a good conversation. It's people just sharing life and their experiences. And you can tell when there's an agenda and when it's just super laid back and it's two people just, let's see where this goes. And honestly, I sat there and I thought, I could do that. I talk a lot and I know a lot of people. So I mean, I'm sure I could ramble on for an hour. We'll see where this goes. And so I started making this list of all these people. I've had a very varied background of all the jobs that I've had, and maybe we'll get into that, maybe not, but I've done quite a lot. And nothing is, I mean, some things have led to another. Other things are just really random little pop-ups in my vocations, if you will. And I've met so many interesting people in those jobs. And I'm like, man, like that guy is interesting, or she is fascinating. And I just, people need to know their stories. People need to know about these things. And so my whole thing is I'm really just sharing people that I love and I'm passionate about, and hearing their story or what they're passionate about, or maybe something we have in common. I've interviewed a couple people that I've never met before, which is A, terrifying, but 2, so exciting, because there's just that raw, who knows what comes out of this? Like, this might be really great, or I may not air this episode, but it's really a great thing, just sharing life. I believe it was C.S. Lewis who said, friendship happens when one man says to another, you too? And I don't think he was referring to the band from Ireland. I definitely, it's those commonalities that we all have in life, and we may never have met, but we don't realize that we both had a similar childhood or similar upbringing, or that we both really, really like peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwiches, something weird, and just that was the basis of the show. It's just like, I just want to sit and talk with people, and let's just put it out for somebody else to enjoy.
You've had so many different guests on there. I mean, just going through the, such an array of different people. Who has exceeded your expectations the most? Because obviously everyone's been fantastic, but who did you potentially, were you worried about interviewing, and who did who did you think just was like the best conversation you've had?
So worried about, not in, I was concerned about the quality, but worried about in that I never met this person. Excuse me. And that was Trader Brandon Kleyla, who's a former Imagineer, and he designed the Trader Sam's restaurants, and he worked on Pandora. Just a real fascinating guy. And so I'd been aware of him, but we had never met before. So I thought, is this going to be casual? Is this going to be natural? Are we going to be able to feed off each other well? And I think we did. I mean, it was a fun conversation. And by the end of it, I thought, I really want to have him back. So that was the most pleasant surprise, and one that I was concerned about, that it turned out to be really great. One that exceeded my expectations. I don't know if it necessarily exceeded my expectations, but it kind of took on a life that I didn't expect, was my conversation with Lou Mongello. And first of all, that man is like me, who can just talk for days. And it's one of my shortest episodes, which was so surprising to me. And my goal was to ask Lou questions or to go in a different direction than he probably usually gets asked. I mean, you guys have had him on. So many people have talked to Lou.
Yeah.
So I thought, man, I want this to be worth his time. I want to ask him questions and maybe offer him the chance to tell stories that he doesn't usually tell. And it was great because I think the very first question he thought, oh, that makes that I have to think about that or something like that. And I was like, oh, good. And
Mission
so
accomplished.
yeah. And that was also very special because I've listened to Lou for years and years and years and have now become, going from being this person off in a distance to, personal friends, and to have the honor of having him on my show was wonderful. So it was just this kind of neat full circle moment. That was just a special thing for me.
I think we've all kind of we appreciate that as well. Lou is he's quite the force to be reckoned with, isn't he, in this sort of space? And he's often referred to as the pod father.
Yeah.
But he's so gracious with his time as well, and kind to enough. Just we were really lucky that he was the second person we interviewed, and I don't think we had a clue what we were doing, and it was very, very different to the first interview that we'd done. And it was just when you just sit there and go, oh my goodness, no, I'm not sure this is really working, but actually it did, and it was fun. It was really fun. And
he is inch by inch one of the most wonderful people in the world.
There's not a lot of inches. He's a very small man.
Do you know something as well, Zac? And I think that as well. This is becoming a recurring sort of theme from an awful lot of people within the podcasting world as well. We've spoken to other people, and they talk about Lou. And they recognise that we had him on very early. We'd love to get it back on again. And if you're listening to this, Lou, please, we'd love to see you back on the Great British Mickey Waffle. But I think Claire just nailed it there. It's the fact he's so giving of his time in trying to promote people who are new and people who are upcoming, and actually possibly a little unsure of what this whole sort of medium is about. And for us, it was something that we've reflected on massively. I think if we could go back and re-record the whole thing with Lou, I think it'd be completely different. But I think for everybody, you need that to just up your game. And I think that for us, it made us aware that we needed to be a little bit more sort of delving in some of the questions that we were asking. We needed to ask the awkward thing. We needed to make the guest feel totally at ease and actually step outside that sort of that Disney speak that they've maybe been on other podcasts before and said, and that for us was a massive part of our learning curve. And I think you've probably found that as well, and I think Lou's just set that up, and it's wonderful to see just how so many of we're all learning from him.
Yeah, something to say about Lou that I think is a wonderful attribute. He just puts you at ease. Yeah. He makes you feel like you've known him forever. And whether you have or not, he always talks about that handshake and a hug. I mean, it's the real deal. And you do come up and he will remember you if you met him 10 years ago. And like you're saying, John, just that he wants to give of his time and to help you and do what he can. And I think that is so incredibly admirable.
I think as well, though, Zac, and I think this is where for Lou, he's recorded. I think he's on show 600 and something at the moment.
It's bonkers.
And you look at the length of time, and actually to keep that freshness and to keep that real drive, and he's probably watched a whole lot of people come into the sort of podcasting market. He was one of the very first. Yeah. And he's still doing it, and he's seen people come, he's seen people go, he's seen groups of people arrive as being, he's probably thought threatened by some people along the way, and he's kept going, and they've drifted off, and they've not been able to maintain that high standard that he puts out. Is something to behold, and it's something that we all sort of, I think we all sort of strive to be just quite to have that sort of that level of quality about what we all produce. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, John, are you looking forward to getting to episode 650?
I am. Do you know, it was great because looking back on, we do our homework for these shows, Zac, you see, and so when I'm looking back on your shows and I'm thinking, yeah, you can see that, you're in the same sort of echelon as we are. We're 2 years old. We've still got we've got double-digit amount of shows, and yet we're looking at other people who've got like 300, 400, 500, and in Lou's case, 600 shows under the belt. And I'm thinking, how on earth did I think of something different to talk about?
Oh, I'm telling you, I have no idea how he does it. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But something that he told me early on, and he said, stay in your lane. Don't keep looking at like what everybody else is doing or how many they have or how many viewers. He just said, just stay in your lane and do what you're doing so well. And I think you guys do that super, super well. It's, it's a Disney show, but you talk about other things as well. But the way you do it, the way you've crafted it and created this community, I think it's wonderful. It's so fun. I mean, like right now, I feel like we're all just sitting in a living room, just sharing a conversation. It's so incredibly comfortable. And I imagine that everyone listening to this has that same feeling. It's just sitting amongst friends.
I think it's so easy to get into that thing where you look at the numbers and you just get stuck on numbers and you then look elsewhere. I think that's one of the things that we spoke to Lou about during our sort of interview was just like, just carry on with what you're doing. You'll get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know where we want to be. We
haven't got a clue.
We're just enjoying the ride.
We just want to be in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I think as well, Zac, and I think this is something we've been really fortunate in the fact that throughout all of this sort of, certainly in the UK, we've not been allowed out of the UK for over 12 months. And it must be tremendously frustrating for a lot of people. And it has been for us. But what we deliberately set out to be very positive about what we put across to our listeners to try, people at home need to know that there's hope out there.
Absolutely.
And that positivity, I think, is something that, I would really like to think that comes across in our shows, but
absolutely does.
But through the time we've not been allowed to go to Orlando, we should have been in a position where, if we're looking at the numbers, we should have lost loads and loads of people, but we're not, because we're actually still talking about a place we really love, and we've got so many amazing memories of, and we're still writing down each and every show. We're still writing down new things that we want to do the next time, and that's the joy of it. It really is. It's just a complete joy to be able to share just a chat. And I think, it could be in the living room. I think when we spoke to Jason, I think I finished the show with Jason and said, we need to just go to EPCOT and just have a chat. And have a bit. And that's the way, that's the really lovely thing about this. We've met so many amazing people, and you're closer to it, and you're actually seeing them. Yeah, that to us is something that we keep seeing you on some of these live shows, and we're like, wouldn't it be great if we were so much closer and we could actually be there?
Yeah. So, I think you're right, John. I think that because we haven't been allowed out of our homes, let alone out of the country, for most of like last 12, 14 months, I think that as a team, we've probably grown stronger together, but also because we've had to be very outward facing in terms of our, not just our content, but how we keep ourselves positive and the information and things that we put across. I think that we've had the opportunity to make some amazing friendships, and Zac being here is proof of that. We've been able to reach out and make connections with, perhaps had we not been in the position we were, we may not have done that. So there are always silver linings, and I think that for all the horrific things that have happened over the last year and a bit, actually we're really lucky that we've been able to make those connections, and we will get to Orlando at some point. We will meet our friends and we will share a beer, but in the meantime we've got some fantastic friends that just a few thousand miles away. That's all.
Well, things like this, you have to look for the positive things in the midst of everything you're going through. And, you guys have said it, like, this has drawn us together in a time where everybody was forced apart. We somehow found a way to find each other. It's this really amazing anomaly in time, which this could not have happened or been possible at any other time in history. And the fact that I'm having a conversation with you lovely people over in England and I am here, we've never physically met, but that we already have some sort of relationship is mind-blowing. I jokingly say to different people, I said, if you would have told me when I was 5 years old that someday people across the world would be watching me have lunch and run around Disney World, I said, I would be like, one, that's weird. Two, why? But the fact is we found each other in this time, and it has made us closer. It has made you guys as a team all that much closer. And I don't think we or you would have been able to do what we're doing had it not been for this incredibly tough circumstance that we've been going through.
Yeah.
I agree. It's complete oxymoron, isn't it? But, that's kind of where we are. So where do you see your podcast going in the future, Zac? What do you see the Zac Brown Show doing? Is it going to carry on as it is, or have you got a grand plan? Someone introduced me to a phrase that can only be described as possibly the most American thing I've ever heard in my entire life, which is a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, which I have never heard in my life. But someone recently introduced me to that phrase. So do you have one of those for the Zac Brown Show?
I don't necessarily. I think when I started out, I'd made this grand list of everybody that I wanted to interview. Let me back up. I made the list of everybody that I wanted to interview that I knew I could interview. And then maybe about 5 episodes in, I started putting people on that list that I've never met and I have no business speaking to. But I know people who do have connections. So I thought, there's a little crack in that door, if you will. The farther I go, I feel that the show is telling me what it wants to be. And it's slightly even shifting over the last couple episodes that I've added a question to the end. I mean, I love when people have questionnaires. I think it's fantastic, especially if you've done your research, you can somewhat prepare, sort of. But I asked this new question, and it's, what is your legacy? What legacy do you want to leave when all this is over? And it's amazing to watch people suddenly have to become introspective, to become reflective, to really think like, what do I want to leave behind? And that's something within the last couple episodes. So who knows what in the next 3 episodes, the show will tell me what it wants to be, referring to it like it's some living entity. But, I think it's always going to be refining itself as time goes. I mean, there's people that are authors or maybe actors that I'd love to reach out to, to just sit down and hear their stories and try to ask them the questions that they've not been asked. But my what did you call it? My BHAG?
Yeah. BHAG.
I think when it comes to the point when somebody that I run into says, I listened to one of your episodes and this had an impact on me, that's my goal. Is I want something that I've done, that I've created, that I've put out into the world to hopefully improve somebody's day or their approach to this thing we call life, this journey, this experience that we all have, whether it's opening up their mind to a new person, a new way of thinking, or just made them giggle and just brought that little bit of light into their day. I think that's my goal. Is I just want somebody to, and I know it's selfish to want somebody to come up and say that, because I mean, it's great. But I mean, if somebody, just to know that somebody be like, I am better, or that my day is better for having listened to this thing that you took the time to put out. That's what I want. And I know that sounds super pretentious, but that is,
No, it's not.
that's the approach.
I'm just happy if anyone listens. It's a start.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm like, oh wow, there's a couple. Look at that. All right, we're doing it.
Yeah. Someone's taking the time to press play.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
must have been by accident. Just rolled on in the car.
I would also. I think I'm totally with you with that, Zac. And I've had a couple of experiences. I've gone down, like everyone keeps saying, I'm old school. So I've written about trips and things like that and put them online and things like that. But when somebody comes back to you and says they've planned a trip based upon things that I've said in the past, and there's a little bit of pressure, it's just like,
yeah.
And they're going to be in Florida at the same time as you, and can we meet up? And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, flipping heck. I'm going to get the blame if they don't like it. And it's just like, it's one of those. It's such a powerful thing that you actually realise that anything, the internet is such a weird and mysterious place at times, but it can be the most marvelous place. And I think we've already discussed this tonight about how it can bring so many people together. But I think what you said there is just such a wonderful way of actually thinking of how you can take your show to a totally different level. And I love the whole thought of maybe somebody will listen to us. Maybe somebody will listen to us and they'll take us.
And I've definitely made it difficult on myself and I've had this discussion with Lou and with Jason with different ones. I said, I made this difficult for myself on the outright because I didn't pick a theme. I said, it's not a sports show. It's not a travel show. It's not a Disney show. They said, well, what is it? I said, it's whatever I want it to be. I said, if I meet somebody, I go, ooh, they're neat. Let's talk to them. Yeah. And they don't fit in with, they're not in the sports theme. They're not in the travel team. They're not in the Disney theme. Like, that's okay. You know what I mean? I can pick all these different people. But it does make it a little difficult because I thought, well, what if, I put out this show where, say, somebody is a pastor or somebody is a baseball player or whatever. There's going to be a whole, category of people that couldn't care less about whatever they're doing. But then the very next episode, that might be exactly what they're interested in. So it's kind of interesting to see which episodes take off, if you will. That I'm like, wow, this one's going to be great. This is going to be the one. And then you look and go, oh, they didn't really like that one. But then you see this other one, you go, well, all right, that was the one that really, checked all the boxes. So, like you said, it's
quite fun to have the versatility of being able to mix and match really who your guests are and who you fancy having a chat with. Where we are very much in that Disney sphere because that's what we enjoy to be fair, this show is just so that we don't bore our families every minute of the day because someone else to talk to, because there's so many times you can have the conversation when the eyes glaze over. So this is our little outlet of discussion. But to have the opportunity just to go, well, actually, do you know what, that guy's really interesting, I'm gonna have a chat with him and see where this goes, or I've never met you, but let's have a chat. A bit like Doug, I've never met you, but I love you kind of approach. Let's have maybe you're the Doug of the podcasting world.
That's me.
Interesting segue. Sorry, Zac, that's really unfair.
No, it's fine.
Who's on your list to talk to if you're able to share? Anyone that you've got up there that you just think, I'm never going to get chat to them, but I'd love to.
Oh, the ones that I would want to, but probably never happen. Oh, I'd love to talk to Robert Downey Jr. That guy's just got such swagger. Bruce Springsteen, because I just think Bruce is, there's a reason they call him the boss. Like, Bruce doesn't have to do anything ever for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? He's always going to be Bruce. I'm not big into politics. I'm not an intellectual, but I just think just to talk with guys like that, be like guys that came from nothing and pulled it up and now just sit on top of the pile. I love those guys.
Yeah, I can interject with a nice little Springsteen story because I never get a chance to talk on our podcast about Springsteen. And
this is your chance.
I'm a massive Bruce Springsteen fan. But when I've got two kids, you get a chance. Your kids go. They follow all these pop bands and things like that. My kids' first gig ever, Springsteen at Wembley.
No,
and it's like, let's start it high, lads. Let's just.
It's not even fair.
Springsteen at Wembley. You can go see any band for the rest of your life, and it'll never be the same.
Yeah,
and just go, there you go. Let's get it in. Let's get it in there,
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's like starting strong. How do you come back from that?
Yeah, exactly.
To add to that list, I'd love to talk with Jon Favreau. I just he just seems like a really genuine guy.
So after all discussions in our recent shows, we've asked our guests to imagine you're hosting a dinner party. You have one guest of honor already, and that's Mr. Walt Disney, and you can invite 5 others to enjoy the meal. Who would they be?
Well, I've already got you 4, so I got to figure out who the other one's going to be.
Hey, thank you.
Hang on, the caveat.
There are a few caveats, aren't there? I didn't scroll down enough on the question.
No, you know the question though. You don't
I
need
know.
to scroll.
That is true. So
His memory's going.
I know those guests can be any character within parks, films, so any Disney World, so MCU, Star Wars, Pixar.
Oh, they're fictional as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is great.
Any cast member or Disney personnel, employee, dead or alive.
So they're all Disney characters, Disney people?
Any Imagineer,
Yeah.
any Disney employee, dead or alive from the very beginning, or any character from any of the Disney universe.
And you got 5.
Oh,
5
goodness.
people.
Andy's bringing us.
Yeah. Mark Davis, one of Walt's 9 old men. I love his sight gags. I mean, we wouldn't have Pirates or Country Bears or Jungle Cruise or Haunted Mansion without him. I mean, so many of the funny things that we see in the parks is because of him. So Mark Davis, character-wise. Oh, this is so much more difficult than I thought, but I love this question. Figment. Let's do Figment because I think that'd be great. Figment would be a fun one. I'm looking at my Funko bobbleheads to see if I can give me any sort of.
And you're going, pick me.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking like who can I draw inspiration from? See. And I'm just eating at times. Somebody's sitting at their computer going, did the recording stop? Oh no, he just can't think. Probably Blue from the Jungle Book.
In the coconut top and Hawaiian skirt.
Naturally. That's the dinnerware.
Kind of.
And we said Walt's already there. Oh, okay. How many do I have? 2 more?
We've got
2 more, yeah.
All right, then I'm gonna just do myself in, and I'm gonna pick the Sherman Brothers.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna pick them because I, being a musician and growing up on their songs, I would love to just sit and talk. I mean, honestly, the other guys could just be at the table, and I would just want to just sit and talk with Richard Sherman for 2-3 hours. Yeah. That's on my list of guys that I would love to talk to. And I know that there's ways that I can probably make those connections, and I need to get on that probably sooner than later.
Oh, yeah.
But that would be it. That's somebody that I just truly admire and am just grateful for them having been on this earth.
Yep.
They are just awe-inspiring, aren't they? Both you know, just you talk about leaving a legacy. Wowzers. That's they are the archetypal person. Just the magnitude of catalogue of music that they created and the skill with which they crafted their art blows my mind every time I hear something. And you can pick a Sherman tune a mile away. You can hear it and you go, well, that's really a Sherman Brothers tune. But then there are some other stuff that you go, wow, that's, really complex music. And I had no idea that was them. But, I'm with you absolutely 100% that I would just to have.
And I love their stuff that gets all like minor and dark, like Magic Journeys or Hushabye Mountain from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Right.
Beautiful, just beautiful pieces of music.
We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago on the podcast recording. We were just having a chat and off air, and I mentioned to Peter and Jill because they're into music quite a lot as well. And I was saying, I was really excited because I'd managed to pick up the sheet music for the film of The Slipper and the Rose, which is like my favourite movie ever from when I was a kid. And the music's all the Sherman Brothers, and it's just the most incredible score. And it's like, this is not known to theirs. It's not a very popular movie. Richard Chamberlain, who is like 100 pretending to be 20, and it's not this amazing big blockbuster, but the music is unbelievable. And really, really had an impact on me as a child. So I think when you talk about leaving a legacy, they're kind of they get their own tombstone out the front of EPCOT, I think.
Can I also, they should do though. And I just add as well, if anyone's listening to this and has got Disney Plus, there's a film on Disney Plus called The Boys, which is the Sherman Brothers story. and it's kind of hidden. It's not one of those things that sort of flashes up to you on Disney Plus. But if you go do a search on it, it is still there, and it is such an amazing tale, and it talks about their entire story, and for good and bad.
Yeah, it's truly tragic.
It's warts and all. But please go and watch it. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch.
Definitely. Oh,
Did
thank
like
you
I was
for
watching that.
dinner party questions, Zac. You did very well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Others have faltered at the.
Well, it took me a second, but I think I finished well.
I was like, I think Carlos added like all of his family, didn't I think?
Oh,
yeah, and then he said that he was going to get Jason to serve dinner, which made us laugh.
Yes.
of course he did.
And pay for it, I think, was at the end of it. So, you know.
Yeah.
Carlos has got this figured out.
I know.
Just invite Jason and he can serve and pay.
Yeah.
No, I was intrigued really, because you're talking about music, you know, and I think as well, and this is like a precursor for anyone who's listening to the show. And if you put Zac Brown in as a search on Google, the first thing that comes up is the Zac Brown Band, which isn't the Zac Brown with us today. However, you've got quite a musical sort of drift as well. So, you know, what is it about being a musician that drives you and excites you?
I don't know. Part of me thinks it has to be something that I was born with. I mean, Claire, you can understand. I don't know about the other guys here are musical at all, but it's in your bones. You know, I mean, I feel like we approach even listening to music in a different way. And I don't mean to sound entitled or we're greater than. It's just everybody's got these superpowers. Yeah. And I love music. I just love music. I love there's a D over F sharp. I hear that. I'm just like, ooh, that's good. You know, there's certain chord progressions or whatever. I've always been around music, whether it was at church or different things like that. Nobody in my immediate family is really musical, but it's something that I've always been geared towards. I took piano lessons starting when I was about 9. And then guitar lessons at 13, and then have just been in different bands and musical groups up until, you know, where we're sitting now. And I love the collaborative process. Like I'm not incredibly talented when it comes to being a musician, but I know it sounds good. And so I liken myself, and I say this in the most humble way possible, I liken myself to either a Walt Disney or a Quincy Jones, in that I know what will work. And like if we do A, B, and C, D is going to be phenomenal. And so I like to surround myself with guys who can do those other parts that I might not know how to do as well as they. So I can say, I need you to do this exactly, and that will be great. And so I love that collaborative of getting around and building that sound. And then when you are in the studio or wherever, and the finished product comes out, you go, see, that's what I heard. We're just coming into the reality of it. I just love music. It's so abstract. It's so ethereal. If you watch Fantasia, those opening scenes where it's just kind of shapes and colors and things moving around, that's what you feel when you're creating. Or if you've seen Soul, whenever he goes into the zone and just goes into the blue, I literally sat with my family and it popped up and I went, that's exactly it. That's what happens. I was like, you go into this space and it just is happening around you and you're a part of it and you're one. It's when I feel the closest to God, because I'm creating this thing, you know what I mean? And it goes back to, like, you know, the podcast, you've made this thing and then you put it out and you're like, here, I made this for you. I really hope you enjoy it. So I love music. I love being musical and be with others that participate in that sort of deal.
I think there is something unique and unparalleled, really, about the ability to share that with other people. You know, I sing, I play, whatever, and I find that singing with others has just enhanced my life in so many different ways. And sadly, over here at the moment, we're not allowed to, because singing is evil. And it's
it sounds like the beginning of like a children's movie or book, you know, like right? The land where singing is evil.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we should. You know how every good Disney movie starts with tragedy. then maybe that's a new option. But it's I really miss it, and I think it impacts on my life so positively when I'm able to engage in musical activity with other people, and I hope that I instill that in my children, and that they certainly seem to appreciate that. And John, I know that Joe is a drummer, and he loves it, and Ben, you're musical, you play piano, and I think amongst us all, we all have very similar experiences, and I think that the opportunity to share something you love with people who also love it is remarkably I say it's abstract, but it's something that brings you together, and you don't have to speak, you don't have to say anything, you just feel it.
Yeah. I mean, for those who bake or they do sports, I mean, everybody does something that they just connect with, and you can't describe it any other way of just like, it's part of who you are as a human, and then you eventually kind of figure that out. You're like, hey, I kind of have a knack for this, and not in a cocky way. You just kind of realize, like, I kind of gravitate towards this thing or these people or this whatever. And when you're with those people doing that thing that you all love, again, it comes back to the you too. It's like, here we are, and it's just like, wow, this is what it's about. I love that.
And I feel it when we're in Disney. It's just one of those things, you're surrounded by other people that have that same passion and interest, and just you're there to enjoy it and just soak in the atmosphere. You can always tell when there's someone rushing from ride to ride, or whether someone's just sort of just taking it easy and just seeing what happens.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm just squiggling down my script a little bit, and going on from the Disney thing. What's your earliest Disney memory, Zac? Obviously, you're from Florida, but not Orlando.
Correct.
You're from somewhere
Pensacola.
else. That. So I don't know where that is. I'm being honest. I'm very ignorant about Floridian.
We need a geography lesson incoming, I think.
Let's bring in the Animaniacs map moment.
So, Pensacola is about as northwest as you can get without hitting Alabama.
Yeah.
For instance, my grandparents' house was only about, it was like a 5K from my house. I mean, not far at all. And they live on the water on Perdido Bay, and you can see Alabama across the water from their house. I mean, it's that close. Like when we would get in their pontoon boat and ride around in the summertime, we'd actually cross into Alabama waters. So it's very, very close. It's on the Gulf Coast. So I'm very much a Florida boy, raised, in the bays, the bayous, and the Gulf. I mean, I'm a beach kid. So Disney was only about a 6.5 hour drive. So we would go once a year, sometimes twice, depending on if we had an annual pass that year or not. My first trip was when I was 9 months old. So I don't remember a whole heck of a lot of that one per se. I have a really strange memory where I can really remember far back. So I do remember kind of flashes and image, but I'd say my earliest memory when I was just about 2. And Jason and I were actually talking about this the other day, that there's we talk about smells being such a trigger for memories, that I can remember the smell of certain sunscreens while being in the park. And so I can remember being on the bridge right in front of Splash Mountain. And I can remember being when it was still Mickey's Starland, what is now Storybook Circus. And I can remember just the smell of like the plush figures. And for those of you that have been going to Disney long enough, at the Yacht Club, their store, which I don't know what it's called now, but anyway, used to have a Mickey statue in the middle where he was in like a boat with like a big wave. Google it. If you're driving, pull over and Google it. Don't do it while you're driving. Be safe. We promote safety here on the Great British Mickey Waffle. But I can remember those early things, and as silly and unbelievable as it sounds, I was really into all those little details very early on, and just being at the resort. So my earliest memories are things like that, where it's like kind of smells or glimpses. Pirates of the Caribbean really stuck out. That was always my favorite ride growing up. When you're in the queue, and right at the end, over on the right, there's like the ship in the distance, kind of looking out over the water. That was like mind blowing to my young little mind. I mean, in my mind, that was the boat, the actual boat that we go past once you're after the drop. in my mind, you were just somehow seeing into this other part of the ride. It was off in the distance, and that was the most magical thing to see this boat in the distance, and we're going to be there in a second. I loved that.
Did you ever believe you were inside, or did you, in your head, were you outside with pirates? Because I don't think I ever really worked out that we were inside, outside. For ages.
I guess in my little mind, we went inside, so we were just inside, and we were riding in the daytime. Now I got to tell on a friend of mine. We were probably about 16 or so, and we were down at Disney on a trip, and we didn't get around to pirates until late in the evening, so it was dark out. And we're about halfway through the attraction, guys. I can't make this up. We're right about at the auction scene, and this guy looks up and he looks around. He goes, "Man, I wonder if this looks much different in the daytime." And you guys, I thought he was kidding, but he said that, and I went, "What?" Yeah. And he, like he had lobsters crawling out his ears, and he goes, "I wonder, does it look a lot different in the daytime?" And I went, "Justin, we're inside. You can see the sprinkler systems on the ceiling. The sky doesn't have that." So I love to know the fact that there are people that truly, believe that this is an outdoor experience.
Yeah. We have a story about pirates, don't we? The first time we went on it, we didn't realize there was a drop. Well, we didn't. There wasn't a drop. There wasn't one.
Can't remember a drop at all.
The first time we went on it. The year later we go on it. It's like, where did this drop a pig come from? Yeah, we don't remember it on the first one.
That's you were like mouth open, aghast at what was going on, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you, Zac, have you been to Disneyland Paris?
I've not. I would love to. From the pictures that I've seen of like the castle and there's like a dragon underneath or something crazy like that. Yeah. That looks so cool.
But the Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland Paris has 2 drops in it. Ooh. And one of them is probably double the length of the one in Florida. It's
wow.
It's actually like a proper.
They did it right.
Yeah. And it's the story is in the correct order in Paris, which is quite good. Rather than kind of how it is in Orlando. Pirates is there are a number of attractions in Disneyland Paris that are different, but in some cases improved on what happens in Florida. I think certainly Big Thunder Mountain.
It's on like an island or something crazy like that.
Yeah, you go underneath.
You go through
the island.
Tunnel. You go under the water in a tunnel to get up onto the island to do the rest of the coaster. And
that's so cool.
It's dark, it's fast, it's windy, and it's it's quite
raining often as well.
Yeah, when you get out the other end, it's chucking it down. But
that would be incredible.
It's an amazing attraction. So I think there's add it to your list of places to go.
Definitely.
So you're talking as well about sort of being at Disney from a very young age, and I didn't. In some respects, I'm the complete opposite. I was late into the Disney party, and that's probably sustained a whole lot of spending from my point of view. But when you're there so young, and I have asked this question, I don't know if it was Colin, I can't remember who had actually asked the same question to, but when you're there so young, how do you sustain that love and that whole passion that that comes across in everything that you're doing just now? But you go through your teenage years. There is a push against anything as a teenager, but what's that journey been like from that first introduction right up until where you're at today?
That's a good question. I would say, well, first of all, my family are all big Disney people, so it's just here. We're indoctrinated, There's a difference between childish and childlike. And I think that our family very much looks for those childlike moments where you really embrace the simplicities and you embrace like the joys, those things like that. So as I got older, my Disney journey shifted. I was a very frightful child. So like Splash Mountain was something I didn't do till I was 10 years old. I mean, I was literally kicking and screaming to get off the ride. I made a cast member cry. It's a whole thing. It's traumatic. But so That's a story for another time. But so it went from this place of like, now it's kind of the scary thing, and there are these things that I don't like doing, and I just want the safety of the people mover, to then like really wanting to be an Imagineer. And so then it was almost like a passion project. How much more of this can I figure out? So any book, any interview, any podcast, whatever, something on YouTube that I could find that would give me another clue of how to do this and how to approach this game that's really constantly moving. And going back to Lou, I've been listening to Lou since I was probably 13 or 14. That's going to make him feel super old. But just things like that, where it's like the top 10s, or here's how to appreciate this place. Here's these little details. And I'd be that kid that, like you guys were saying about driving your family nuts, be like, oh, if you look over here, there's going to be this thing, but that's supposed to look like this. Now, if you lift up this mat, there's going to be a key here, and it's really fast. And after a while, it's just like, okay, good, and it's just kind of shifted over, with maturing and getting older and things like that. So I feel like it's just kind of, it's like a river, and just kind of courses into different spaces and different things that I appreciate about it. And so it went from, just a kid loving Disney World to all just the nerdy trivia details that I could get to. And then it was like, okay, now that I'm local, I'm looking for the things that either I really love and I want to take the time to do that nobody else wants to do, or what's something I haven't done in years, or maybe what's something we have never taken the time to do. Or to play off of a Jason thing, like what's a little nook or an area of the park or the resort that I've never really explored before, and let's just kind of camp out here for a little bit. Let's get a drink and let's just chill. So it kind of just evolves. And I think that's really what has sustained me and my love of this place, is that, well, first of all, they're always building new things, but secondly, looking for new ways to enjoy it.
Does it get frustrating? You mentioned about lifting the mat and looking for the key. And, obviously you're there much more often than we are. Do you not get frustrated when you're talking about this, and you talk about things with such a passion for Disney, and yet there are people who say, oh, I'm on my 10th trip. Oh, did you know there's a key under the mat?
Yeah.
No, that's the first I've heard of it. Yeah. Does that frustrate you? Because I don't know about any of us guys, because I think we're on a different sort of echelon, because it's always new to us every year we go. But, if you're there in the park so often, it must be, you don't know.
It's not that's what gets me. It's the people that will come in and they'll go, we've been here so many times, we're just bored of it. And we always have joked with our family, always said, they're doing Disney wrong. Where if you're here and you're bored, first of all, you need to count your blessings. Look where you are, what you're able to be doing. But secondly, it's like, man, if you're bored, then you're either not trying something new, 2, you're with the wrong people if you're not having a good time. But just like, go do something new. You can't. Something that I discovered in the last handful of years is when people get frustrated on vacation or with memories, whether it's just a holiday at the house, is they're trying to take the same memory that they made before and make it happen the exact way again. And then when it doesn't invoke the same emotion, they're frustrated. Well, you're a different person now. You have to try something new. You have to eat someplace new. Or if you go to this place that you really like, try a new menu item. Find something new. You can't just keep, following A, B, C formula and expect it to be just as exciting. So it's like, for the longest, we literally every single year go to Magic Kingdom, you go left. You go to Magic Kingdom, you go left. I remember the first time that we went to Tomorrowland, I was like, no, we always ride Pirates first. What are you talking about? And when we rode Space Mountain first, it was like, well, this is new. And I'll never forget that trip, because it was this new experience. It was new muscle memory. And we didn't get to Pirates till later in the day. And wait, we always eat at Cosmic Rays. Why are we eating at Columbia Harbor House? What is this place? I don't know what they have here. You got to find those new things that keep it interesting for you. And so when I see those people around where they're like, yeah, I didn't know that this was here, or we just see this show, or we do this, it's just like, you're missing it, man.
I I think we all feel like that as well. You know, it's a case of, you know, we're planning a 2-week trip, and it's like, our next trip should be 3 weeks, and it's like we you know, as a family, we've had this conversation. It's just, let's do new stuff. Let's eat in places we've not eaten. Let's try and do things that we haven't done. So, you know, let's push out of our own comfort zone, because we're very much, you know, that always go to the same places, go the same route.
Because you like it.
You go to World Showcase, you go to Mexico first. You know, there is only
So you're going to go right this time, Claire?
Absolutely not. But we are going to try some new things. You know, we're looking at going to Beer Garden, which is not a restaurant that I have ever wanted to go to, but I've been told by friends that it's like the most amazing experience. So, you know what, we'll give it a go. And then I can make a judgment based on experience rather than assumption. So,
I think that
all for that.
Yeah, I think that description though, Zac, about it being muscle memory, you know, I think that's certainly one thing, and I hope anybody in the UK who's listening to us talk about this, and it's maybe their first trip or the second trip or third trip or whatever. It's one of those really strange things that you get told so much. There's too much to do within 2 weeks. There's too much to do within a month. So what you really do need to do is make sure that you make it your trip.
Yeah.
When you get the chance to do it, you get the chance to make it the trip again. Don't do the same. Go and do the bits that are different, and go and see the bits that. And I think it was Jason, I think I was talking to, and it was really lovely, because he'd remarked on one of the lunch breaks. When he was in Magic Kingdom, and when he quoted something that I'd said, and that I think we've said as a group so many times, is basically, the slower you go, the more the magic comes to meet you. Yeah. Within the whole of Disney, and that certainly took us a long. It took us about 3 or 4 trips to actually understand that. But once you're secure and know, I'm going to come back again. And once you actually just take that little step back, and just that awareness that it's okay to just have a coffee and to just look and absorb and just take in where you're at. And once we've done that, every trip from then on, we don't have a set way of going into Magic Kingdom. We don't have a set way of doing Epcot. We just go, and we just, in the Nemo song, we go with the flow. And it's beautiful, because actually it becomes totally different each and every time. And each and every occasion we go into the park, something different happens, something different. We find something different. And I love that. And I would love that if I lived there, I would still be seeking out those things I know that I still haven't seen, and I still haven't had the absolute joy of just being able to spend, half an hour sitting and watching the ducks.
Yeah, well, I think you've just found your subline. It's the Great British Mickey Waffle. Let the magic come to you.
Yeah, no, it is though.
Surely someone's already taken that tagline.
We could use watch the ducks.
Watch the ducks.
Let's just grab a coffee and watch the ducks.
We've done that.
We have done that.
We've done that.
You've got
so coffee is a big thing, isn't it? It's everyone likes to grab a coffee, and actually I'm a big fan of the Starbucks that they have there, and you can get some great drinks. Zac, what's your favorite coffee to grab when you're in Magic? When you're in, say you're walking up Main Street, what would be your menu item of choice?
Well, I'm gonna pass Main Street and hook a right into Tomorrowland, because I'm a Joffrey's guy.
Oh, are you?
I was going to ask Joffrey's or Starbucks.
I am 100%. I say no to the siren, and I go to Joffrey's. In fact, basically, almost exclusively in my household, we drink the Joffrey's Disney blends. Like right now in my mug, I've got Victoria and Albert's. The wave is great.
So love the wave.
Coffee is one of the these
so
are
completely.
You can get shipped over, and the shipping is free over $50. So big boxes arrive. So
there's your justification.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think, what have we got in our coffee machine at the moment? I think Dan, what did he put in there? I think he put Yachtsman in there.
That's so good.
We had Sanar recently, but I think we've got Yachtsman in there at the moment, and we've got Riviera to put in next.
So I haven't had that one yet.
I do like the Kona.
Yeah,
Kona's nice.
We've got the in-room French roast at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's
which
really
is
nice.
really nice.
Yeah, the 3 I've got at the house right now is French roast, Victoria and Albert's, and I believe the Wave.
I haven't tried
I
either.
think.
Artist
Victoria
Point was
Albert's.
really nice.
It was.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is. It's dark. It's really, really hefty
Yeah.
coffee. But I haven't tried Victoria and Albert's. I'm a bit worried. I'll
Did
like
we try
it.
Victoria and
I'll have
Albert's?
to
Yes, we
see.
did. It was.
We
it was
did have the
amazing.
Victoria and Albert's.
Is it
Can I
like
just
the
add-
best coffee?
Can I just add something to our regular listeners? That once again, there's another item from the Great British Mickey Waffle that's going to cost you money.
And you're shipping. If you order
Actually,
an
no.
Amazon coffee.
You're not going to be shipping Joffrey's coffee across the Atlantic.
Maybe we should
Joffrey's
make this a
wants
Wednesday
to
show.
What coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, it just keeps coming up again and again. If it's not DVC, it's about buying different things that you can get.
Or VIP tours. Or
VIP
just-
tours.
yeah.
VIP tours, deluxe
It's-
resorts, moderate.
It's brilliant.
It's-
It's so funny because it's costing me money as well. Because I keep going, oh, I've not done that for ages.
We are-
I fancy
we are going to do a show.
I fancy some Joffrey's coffee tomorrow.
We need to do a show of free stuff at Disney World.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to do a show of all the stuff that you can get for free.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Just to make
try
up
and
for all the
make
stuff.
the balance.
Actually,
We're
make
making
sure
you
we
buy
don't
it.
promote it because Mr. Chapek might be listening and get rid of
Oh,
all
then
the
it
stuff
won't be
that's
free
free.
anymore.
That's true.
It's like, yeah.
It'll be a
Pay for that
surcharge.
California Grill napkin that you and the
Knowing
pens
Mr.
that-
Chapek, Chapek will be charging us for the magic next. That'll be it. Chargeable by the hour.
Those little gremlins are listening, John.
I know, right?
I was gonna say ticket prices. They already are, aren't they?
Yeah,
I know,
exactly.
right?
But yeah, if Joffrey's want to sponsor the podcast, we'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
There's
Love
something-
Joffrey's.
Mm.
I have to
I'll tell
say,
you- I'll tell you as well,
I'll happily
I've-
drink Joffrey's or Starbucks. I'm not bothered.
If Joffrey's want to send us some T-shirts to wear, I'm quite gladly. I'll change my waffle one as well. But also, I did notice, Zac, you have got your podcast T-shirts available on
Yes.
TeePublic as
I
well.
do.
So I will give a shout out to you and a little bit of a free plug there.
Thank you.
Actually, they look
they're-
And they're
rather
really
smart.
nice. I love the logo.
They look rather. I think they look rather good. So yeah,
Thank you. They're
Living
very
seems
soft.
Yeah.
They look,
I
they
do
look
like
high
your
quality,
t-shirts.
expensive T-shirts.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to say so. Yeah, anyone who's listening, Zac's got his own T-shirt range as well. So
I'm a
Feel
T-shirt
free.
now.
And a T-shirt.
That's
You know
right.
you're on a T-shirt. You've made it.
yeah,
And they're
that's
very
fantastic.
soft. So there's that.
So Zac, with all the Disney projects that were announced at D23 and all the things that have been suggested, planned, moved, delayed, which of those things do you want them to just get on with and finish first? Which of those things is like the thing you're going, come on, I need to have this at my fingertips. I need to experience this.
Okay, so I would say probably Guardians, because I know that that's going to be a much. So one, it's something we've not seen before. Like I think it's cool when we see something that another park has, and you're like, oh, I'd really love to ride that. Oh, neat, we're getting one here. But there's something so special about the one and only of something. So I love that surprise factor, not knowing what's coming. So there's that. I really want them to finish Tron, but honestly, at this point, I really want them to finish just enough that we can get the train going again, because that's just me. But as far as like, if I just picked one, definitely Guardians of the Galaxy. That just, because it's massive. I mean, they've never built anything like it. The ride vehicles are wild. I'm really intrigued to what we're going to be getting with that.
Even though they painted it blue, you can't really hide it.
That's a big honking building.
Yeah.
It's certainly large, isn't it? And you
Mhm.
look across the.
What they could
Across the
supposedly
lagoon,
fit
you're like-
3 spaceship Earths inside the box. I mean, good gracious, that's
That's,
Yeah.
that's
volume
a big
wise.
box.
And isn't it Disney's first storytelling coaster? I think they've
Yeah,
called it.
and then it's
Yeah.
got like the first backwards launch, and
Oh, reverse launch, yeah.
yeah, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I love
be so
Guardians,
good.
and it's just going to be amazing. I can't wait to ride it. It's gonna be so good.
I'm with you on that, Claire.
Yeah.
No,
And
I
what
can't
songs
wait.
are we going to get that go along with it?
Yeah,
the
I mean,
soundtrack's got to be incredible, surely, hasn't it? It's
Yeah.
going to be one of
Are we
those
going to see many animatronics like Groot, Rocket?
rocket.
Right. So
I
many
think we'll
like
see them in the queue lines. I think
Yeah.
it will be going too fast on the actual ride and spinning too much.
I'm
I don't
hoping
know,
they are,
because the
yeah.
whole point of it is you're supposed to spin around to a certain bit, and then you have like a show scene, and then
it's basically going to be the Haunted Mansion on crack. I mean, it's just going to be just shooting through and rotating what they want you to see, and just you're moving like it's. I'm excited for it. It's going to be wild.
I can see that. I can see that in the tagline for the Disney advertising for it already. I really can.
Exactly. Are you going to be you wanted to be Imagineer? Maybe you could just be like the
marketing.
copywriter.
Their pitch man. I'm just sending them the ideas. Like, write this
Media
out.
team. Media team. That'd be brilliant.
I'd be the guy down at the other end of the table, be like, "How about?" And they just go, "No."
Oh, wonderful.
I just kind of hope that the queue line has like an animatronic dance off in it or something. That would be really cool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And certainly, I
could be
want
neat.
Drax to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
Invisible.
What, in plain
invisible,
sight.
moving really slowly. Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
Or him just saying, "Where's Gamora? Why's Gamora? Who's
There's so much content in Guardians that could be used to enhance an attraction like that. That's the problem. That it's trying to. I expect that I'd love to hear from the Imagineers that are designing it and how they're limiting what they use. That would be, because the concept, there's so many different things, and that's before we get to the next movie. So, all the different stuff that they could be using.
And the thing about these attractions, like every time they do something, it blows our mind, right? And the fact that we know that they're already working on something else and that the technology has already jumped leaps and bounds at this point. Like when I rode Rise of Resistance for the first time, I walked out mouth agape. There were 3 Imagineers there. It was the opening weekend. And there were 3 Imagineers there, and I walked out and I just went, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then my very next thought was, how on earth are they going to top this? But you know that they will, because they're Disney, and that's what they do. They are the what is it? They are the dreamers of the dreamers of dreams and the singers of songs, something like that. That's someone much more eloquent than I said it. But they're making these things. Their job is to say yes and. I see your Rise of Resistance and I raise you blank. Like, I mean, who knows what's coming next? It's going to be.
It's when you see like the animatronic Spider-Man. That's like, really?
Right?
That's just brilliant.
That's what's coming next.
Yeah.
I think to have the ability to have a concept of something abstract or just a thought process and even to be able to sketch it and then go, right, and this is how we're going to make that happen. This is how we're going to create it. This is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to feel for the guest when they're experiencing it. That is just an incredible talent to have. And I don't know how these people's brains work, and how they're wired. That makes no sense to me. And
to have the confidence to know, oh, and we can, like they can. If anybody's going to figure it out, it's going to be these guys. I mean, it's just. What a group to be a part of.
Totally mind-blowing.
And if it's something that they can't do straight away, it's always on the back burner somewhere. There's always something that
someone's designing how you can do it in the meantime. Let's do this while we're working out how we can make that possible, because that's going to happen at some point.
We all want to see them make a new or whatever Journey into Imagination. I mean, I think we've been beating that drum for a long time. But like Ben said, I think that's the thing. I think they have ideas, they have plans, they have things they want to do. I just believe in my heart of hearts, my EPCOT center loving self, that they are waiting till they have the ability to execute, because that's a huge decision. Time, finances, whatever, like they got to do this and do it right. So I think once they finally get to the point when they can do what they want to do, that is going to be just gangbusters. I mean, it's going to be the most insane thing that we've seen in a long time. Yeah.
And it'll be for the whole of that pavilion as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other side as well. I think that whole pavilion just needs a hug and a lot of love. That's all it needs.
It needs a good cuddle.
That's all it needs.
And just imagine it. Just need to go.
So the best thing about the pavilion is the DVC lounge that we go into upstairs.
There's a DVC lounge up there.
You got it. That's so sad when you say, what's the best part of that pavilion? Free Coke.
Free coffee.
Yeah.
They have a Coke freestyle machine up there. That's
Free tea
neat.
and coffee.
That's not. It's not good, is it?
It's
not very Disney, but it's also, I think that again goes back to what we're saying. It needs just looking at, and I think it's not just going to be the ride; it's going to be the whole pavilion. And I think that's once they get it all straight and they get it all sort of in the confines of we can do it and we can do it properly. And I think that's been the saddest thing in the past 12 months, hasn't it? Is all that stuff from D23 of what we're nearly 2 years down the line.
Yeah. Of
how exciting all of the plans for EPCOT were going to be, and they've ploughed on. They've got rid of the Fountain of Nations. They've kept true to some of what was there.
Yeah.
And we want to see it through to final fruition. And we know that I think we're going to see some of those things that we thought were sort of pushing the boundaries to start with. Yeah. They're not going to be there. But I still think Imagination Pavilion is definitely got to be top of their list. Let's get it sorted. I
think once Harmonious is there to distract enough people, they can just work on it.
Yeah. Like the flailing legs of the.
I tell you, every time I see Epcot at the minute, Round World Showcase, it's distracting enough for me. I tell you, it's just like.
It looks like Ozzy Osbourne moved in. There's so much stage rigging and whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's a big hullabaloo right now.
Yeah. And when you see the water, it just looks like a burst water main.
We gotta get somebody out there to fix that thing.
Spider-Man Doc Ock and his arms are just like. Yes. Or someone's chopped the hose and it's just like spraying around like some comedy. That's what it looks like. Just not good.
Maybe it's one of Bob's ideas of selling more umbrellas in Florida.
Or ponchos.
We sell loads of them in Paris, but we don't seem to get rid of that many umbrellas and ponchos in Florida. Let's do something about that.
I still think it's the right theming. If the wind is blowing in the right direction, they've got the water going, and it's raining in the UK.
Perfect.
Well, I feel like there's gonna be signs where it says you've now entered the splash zone.
when you come across the bridge to the World Showcase, a refreshment port. Suddenly, it's like put your ponchos on.
Here's a poncho.
Your poutine dry somehow.
That's great.
I don't know. Do you know what? We all joke about it. And in the back of my mind, I just have this hope that I'm going to be proved wrong and that this new show is going to be incredible and Harmonious is going to be everything we want it to be. Yeah. And actually the fact that those ugly metal tacos are not going to be seen, they're just going to have the most outstanding. What the product is going to be so much better than the sum of its parts. I think just that's in the back of my head is like, please let this work. And I don't know why I worry about it because I've been proven that every single time that absolutely happens. So, just you're saying, Zac, Rise of the Resistance, they can pull that off. Why would this be any different? I think it's just they're getting to that point of being able to confidently go, they got it right yet again.
Well, I said this on Lou's show. I genuinely feel, oh my goodness, I feel for the team that is working on Harmonious. Every part, whether they're the music guys or the firework guys or whatever, they have such an impossible job. And I compared it to this. I said, it's like having to go on stage after Queen at Live Aid. Like, those guys were standing in the wings and just went, oh, come off it. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to, like, are you kidding me right now? So to have a show like Reflections of Earth that is so emotionally, I would venture to say, a spiritual experience, for anybody to have to come after that and go, yep, we can match that or do you better. Like, man, good on them. The fact that they're taking on that challenge, my hat's off to those guys. And I wish them nothing but the best. I want to be proven wrong. I'm very much sitting on the skeptical side where I'm going, guys, I don't know. I'm not seeing it, but I want so desperately to be proven wrong that when we're all gathered around that lagoon going, my heavens, this is quite the thing, like that we tell people you have to see Harmonious. I want that so badly. So
I think on the other side of it is it's been so long since there's been any sort of nighttime entertainment that I think we're all just wanting something to come back.
Well,
Yeah.
are you saying we have to
And it's
do
one
that?
of those things. If someone sets off one firework, it's more than what we've had in the past.
Cast members with sparklers.
Yeah.
It has been a very strange thing leaving the parks of an evening where nothing happens. It's like, because Disney's a show. They always say that, when cast members enter, they're on stage. And so at the end of the night, it's just, all right, we go home now. There's no like, ta-da.
Yeah.
It's been very strange. It's been like you have this big, wonderful day and it's almost anticlimactic. So just in that kiss goodnight, that grand finale, you need that. It's part of the Disney park experience.
You need to hear We Go On, just play it from like 9 through 10, just constantly on a loop.
Yeah.
And then we'll be okay.
It's time to go home. That comes on, we get kicked out. Security get rid of me.
Just mop your tears. It's time to leave now.
Yeah, I've got to say, Claire, I know I've said this many times before, and I think it's also worth remembering. It's just like, I just hope the Imagineering team for Harmonious didn't have anything to do with Rivers of Light, because I think everybody knows how much I detest what Rivers of Light Mark 1, 2, and goodness knows whatever Mark they got up
it doesn't
to.
exist anymore.
Yeah.
John single-handedly killed Rivers of Light.
Yeah.
I don't think it was me on my own.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with John.
I had the fortunate luck never to have seen it, so I can't.
I tried so many times. I really did, and it's still that same gag. It's the word that rhymes with light that I can only describe it as, and that's all I'm going to say about it. It just didn't do it for me, and EPCOT needs something much bigger, better, and something that is going to blow everyone's socks off. I know, Ben and Becca, you were very, very fortunate that on your last trip you actually got some fantastic video of
EPCOT Forever.
EPCOT Forever, and I tell you what, to me that was excellent. So if Harmonious doesn't work, we at least know that they can maybe revert back to that in a hurry.
Not with those big metal structures in the middle of it.
Yeah, the guys
use the jet skis to go between them.
They're going to struggle.
Which has to be the coolest job in EPCOT. What do you do? I ride the jet ski at night with the kites that do the whoosh thing. Like, you can't get cooler than that.
Yeah. On a jet ski at EPCOT.
First time I saw that, I went, "Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome!"
Yeah.
That's a great job.
So cool.
Where do you put the job description for that? What does that look like? The person.
So what's your reference for your previous job? It's like, jet ski. Where did you work? Oh, EPCOT.
I never wrecked my jet ski in EPCOT.
Until they put in those darn tacos.
Everyone's a winner. Playing chicken, please. So, if you had, our friend Lou would say, a little bit of armchair Imagineering opportunity here for you, and your desire to be an Imagineer when you were younger. If you had the opportunity to build a 5th park for Walt Disney World, only using extinct attractions, what would that look like in the Zac Brown 5th park?
Oh my goodness, this would be wonderful. I would have to have Horizons. To me, Horizons was the perfect attraction. Something great about those EPCOT, the first class, if you will, of EPCOT attractions, they were long. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, I waited in line for an hour and I'm out of here in 2 minutes. I mean, you were in there for like 15 or 20. I mean, and you experienced this thing. So definitely Horizons, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I've always loved that movie. And so just those Nautilus, it's steampunk, it's fun. I'm trying to think what has left us that I miss so dearly. I would restore Country Bears to the full version, not the shortened version that we have now. It's a simple thing, but I wish for that. And Oh goodness, what I want Toontown back. I liked Toontown. I love Storybook Circus, but I want Toontown. Give me that section where you can go. It's fun. It's so
I remember
fun.
going in Minnie's house and just having that little walk through with her kitchen and the toaster and it's amazing.
Yeah. And
It's
Delta
my
Dream
fault.
Flight. Probably Delta. I loved Delta Dream Flight. Great music. You were literally flying through a storybook. Yeah. And the Great Movie Ride. What am I thinking? Absolutely, the Great Movie Ride. I missed that so much. I went in whenever it was the last time that I rode Mickey Minnie's, and I was like, this is such a great attraction. This is fun. This is wonderful. But I was like, but I really missed the Great Movie Ride. So
we
I do
haven't
that.
done Mickey and Minnie yet. It's and I've been trying desperately to avoid too many ride-through videos of it because it feels like it's one of those things you need to experience for the first time in person. I don't know. As in Becca, Ben, have you been on it?
No.
So
John, you haven't. So we haven't had that opportunity to experience it yet. So
stay away. The one thing that I will say that's a little difficult, and I could see possibly coming back, hopefully by the time that you guys are here, especially now that they're shifting social distancing and things like that. To me, what really set that attraction on the right note is the pre-show. And so once the parks reopened after COVID and they were not doing pre-shows, they were just kind of walking you through.
Yeah.
The pre-show gave you the why, if that made any sense. It told you what was happening, why it was happening, and what it set the rules, if that makes any sense. So if you didn't have that experience, you're like, well, this is a cute story, but I don't get really what's going on. It gave all the context, and it had some really simple but really great practical effects that you don't experience without. And so they would literally have a cast member come up and say, so this is what's happening, go enjoy the ride. So I hope that's something that they bring back here shortly, which I can see them doing that. I saw that this week, literally probably the last couple of days, that more social distancing markers have been lifted. I saw yesterday that now they are on the Skyliner, they're putting parties together that are not just with themselves. So that's very encouraging to see that we're kind of getting into that space again. So hopefully you guys will be able to get the full experience.
Fingers crossed.
I've heard the song because that's a song.
It gets in your head. You're walking for about an hour after, and all of a sudden you're whistling, and you're like, where did that come from?
It's like Small World. You've done it once. It's like, oh no. 2 days later, you're still sort of, where did that come from? Like,
2 days, 2 years later.
2 years.
2 decades with It's a Small World.
Yeah.
That's the sign of an amazing piece of music, is that if it's one of those things that someone mentions the name of it and you can hear it, that's, do you know what? There are a handful of pieces of music that really can do that. Most people can do that, and It's a Small World is one of those amazing. Just the hook of that tune is incredible, and how the Shermans did that just completely innately is beyond my my comprehension, really. But it's everyone's pain is everyone's gain as well, because someone just mentions it, and you can look around the room and someone's singing it. You know that you're singing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the other one now though, Claire, is whenever anybody hears the word nothing can stop us. Instead of going back to an old Starship from the 80s, it's now everyone in their own mind is now it's Mickey and Minnie's Runaway West there. Nothing else can stop us now, and it's just like we've moved on. And that's taken a whole long lot of time to park Starship, which thankfully we have got rid of.
To be honest with you,
when they announced that song as being the title, I went, Starship? Like they're having Mickey and Minnie's? I was so confused. And then I was like, oh, this is completely different. Well, good for them.
Thankfully.
Not that there was anything wrong with the Starship version.
No.
That's a great song. Oh, come on, John.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm
not one of my favourites. So must
you know when you hear it.
Probably,
yeah. It's so I would say that those are all the questions. Zac, have you got any questions for us? I always like asking that because you never know what people are going to say.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, now we flipped it on me.
Yeah, sorry, did we not? Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
To kind of sum up, like a little bit of everything that we've discussed tonight, as you guys are planning your return to the world, what is, and I guess I don't know, we'll go alphabetically. What is the one thing that you're like, whether you have experienced it before or you haven't experienced it yet, maybe you've seen it on a lunch break or you've seen it on somebody else's show, that you're like, the next time we go, I am making sure that this is something that we do. So alphabetically, Becca.
Oh. There's a lot of things that I'm making sure we do. Boathouse.
Okay.
Boathouse is one of the things.
Sponsored by Lou Mongello.
I'm not, no. But everyone keeps telling me that the food at the Boathouse is amazing, the service is amazing, and the experience is amazing. We've never done it, so we're going to go and do it.
It's a nice experience. It's a very pretty view. Even if you're inside, I mean, it's still a really nice setting. So, Ben?
Rise to the Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to get that boarding pass.
Fast thumbs, man. Fast thumbs. Claire?
Oh my goodness, there's so much. I'm probably gonna go the opposite direction. I haven't done Rise of Resistance, but I think the one thing that I am absolutely gonna do is sit down with some friends and have a drink, and something to eat, and make those connections feel real, because they do a little bit at the moment, but that's my priority, I think, probably.
Yeah. John?
I'm going to go with something that I've generally sort of talked about in leaving Magic Kingdom. And when you leave Magic Kingdom for the last part of any holiday, and it's that lack of willingness to turn around and acknowledge that you're going. As a family, we always walk up the steps at the station and have one last look down Main Street. And on our next trip, our whole trip is going to start. We're going to walk up the steps. We're just going to stand at the station, and we're just going to actually acknowledge that we haven't been able to be there for whatever reason. You know, we've not been since 2019. There's been loads of things going on in our lives as a family, but to actually stand there and just look at the most amazing place on earth, I think would just be just such an emotional release, I think, for us as a family. Yeah. And to see it just sort of there. And from then, going back to the EPCOT the EPCOT music, from there, we go on. And I think that to me, it needs to be, I need to go and stand there. I want to do that. And I want to do that so much.
I guarantee you that first time back, it's emotional.
It's going to be a big one, I think, for everyone in the UK. I think it's going to be a massive, massive.
And allow yourself to have that moment. I mean, people get it. Yeah. I'm telling you, I was very blessed and fortunate enough to be there the first day that Magic Kingdom was open to pass holders, and that was the question: where are you going to go first? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know, Jason and Lou both were like, "I'm just going to slowly walk down Main Street. That's what I need to do." And I said, my earliest memories were Pirates. So I said, I need to go do Pirates, and that smell and that song. And again, this is, I don't believe in coincidence. I just believe in just things happen like just the way they're supposed to. And I even said to my mom, I said, I want it to be this certain spot of music. I said, that's what I want to hear. Just that deep flute, you know, and the kind of the minor key that sounds kind of like Jungle Book. And I FaceTime with my mom as I walked in. I said, I want you to be here with me. You can't be here with me. And you guys, I kid you not, I stepped through that threshold and that piece of music started playing. I started sobbing. I mean, and I just turned and she goes, are you okay? And I flipped the camera around and I'm just holding my face and I'm just poor. But I turned around and every other person in line is just got tears running down their face. So when you come, you have that moment. You step up on that train trestle and you look out and you just, we're here. That will be a memory that will last the rest of your life.
Feels like when we were in Disneyland Paris last August, it was like we managed to get there just before sort of quarantine and everything, and it was just like, I can't believe we're here.
I stopped walking into studios, so
I know, but do you know what? The difference is you had masks to hide behind. Now
Yes.
you won't have that.
That's true.
That being like there to soak up the tears.
And
Now
I don't think there's
that.
anything wrong with that, because actually, like Zac was saying, I think it's just that is where that complete emotional attachment for a place in the world that we all know, we all love, we all keep going back to. It keeps costing us a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is our happy place, and I think that for everybody, you know, I think we all watched the streams on that particular day, Zac, and we were just so thankful. It was to see cast members back at work, you know, that, you know, and there's still cast members who are still not back at work, and I know I keep banging on about this, but it's something that I find really hurtful, because I want to see those people who, you know, are not back within the roles within each of the parks that they love and they've put so much time and effort in over the years.
I think that's an improving and evolving picture, isn't it, John? And that
certainly is, Claire.
You see, like the massive traditions, things that were going on over the last few weeks, and it's just like, come on, these are people getting back.
And we find ourselves rooting for these people that we'll probably never meet. We're just like, come on, like you got this. This is going to happen. It's, you know, we're indebted to them because they spend their life creating the magic. You know, it's not just a catchy little tagline they came up with for merchandise. It's where the magic lives. It's this place where you're allowed to go be a jungle explorer. You're allowed to go be a rock star. You're allowed to be, you know, whatever. You can be this here, and they are those people that make that and make it possible. So it's like I agree with you, John. I'm like, let them back in. let them do what they want to do.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, definitely. So, Zac, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today and sharing a waffle with us.
Thanks for putting up with me.
It's been loads of fun. I feel like we've got to know you. And we're all looking forward to what's going to be a very exciting future for the Zac Brown Show.
Thank you.
Your range of T-shirts that we're all going to go and buy. The potential partnerships with Joffrey's Coffee that we're all looking at, and then you know, and getting to share, as Lou would say, a handshake and a hug in the future. So I think it's really exciting.
Definitely.
Guys, thank you. This has been an absolute joy and a pleasure. I've loved this.
I know that our listeners will want to follow you and enjoy the content you produce. So where can they find you on social media and all of that stuff?
So you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is It's Zac Brown, because I'm very clever in the naming department. Also, the podcast is the Zac Brown Show. So it's on, you can find that on Facebook and or Instagram. And then the podcast is, I guess, pretty much everywhere you download your stuff. So if you can't find it, reach out and I'll do what I can to get it to you. That's
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should just go have a listen, because it's such a fun show, and
Thank you.
I've enjoyed listening to all of them. So thank you everyone for listening. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GB Mickey Waffle, and on our YouTube channel, which is the Great British Mickey Waffle. You can also get in touch with us by email, or which is now rapidly becoming the old school way to contact us, at waffleon@gbmickeywaffle.com. And you can find our usual podcast. You can find us all on the usual podcast platforms of Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, all of the stuff that you normally would find your shows. And finally, you can check out our website, www.gbmickeywaffle.com, which has links to all of our shows. And if you're watching or listening on this on the day of release, please make sure you join us for our Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern, for Wafflers Wednesdays, where we talk about a different subject each week and try and keep John to an hour. It's very hard to do. And then
it's got to be more than an hour, Claire.
Do you know what? The team in where they talked about Universal, they were bang on an hour, John. We weren't there.
Yeah, that's because I wasn't on the show.
There's a strange coincidence.
And
there.
Neither were you, Claire. So I'll have that one out with you as well. We weren't out there, so we'd have had 2 hours out of Universal.
I think
That's all right. We've decided we're going to do 2 more shows on it.
I think we might still do it. And then this month in June, wow, do you know what? Our Friday show is just in a couple of days' time, isn't it, Ben? It's
on the
Friday,
18th.
the 18th. So
Wow.
if you're listening on day of release, this Friday we will be going live with our Wafflers Assemble show at 8:30 UK time, 3:30 Eastern. So join us for what's always a bit of fun, and who knows what will be on the Wafflers roulette wheel this month. Goodness knows what Ben's stuck in there. And who's facing Mastermind, because it's not me. I've done it.
Peter.
It's Peter.
It's still Peter.
It's Peter. Yeah, he missed the last one.
Yeah. So all that's left to say is, Zac, thank you so much for being with us. It's
Thanks, Zac.
so much
Thank you,
fun.
guys.
Thank you,
And
Zac.
I loved it.
and thank you, Ben, Becca and John, for keeping me in line, making sure I don't misbehave. If you like what we're doing, come and subscribe so you don't miss out on everything that's coming up. And thank you for listening. So all that's left to say is waffle on.
What?
Waffle
Waffle on.
on.
Waffle on.
Waffle on.